Howdy folks, Todd here with Great Escape Farms. This is the second in a series of plant walks I'm doing, and this one is on the sheet mulch garden that we have. So we have several videos on how we put this together. We'll link to that in the description there. So the first plant we're going to talk about, and by the way, this particular video is going to be talking mostly about the plants that are in here. So this is a Silver Bells Akebia. It is a vine. You can see how big the stalk is down there. It flowers and just smells beautiful in here, and it's overgrown a little bit. I need to do some trimming in here. Anyhow, the flowers would produce fruit if I had cross-pollination, and this year's first year that I had a pollinator, but I don't see any fruit as I look around, so perhaps another year. But they say it's about the size of a baby cucumber and has a sweet taste to it, so we shall see. Let's see, next up I have a plant called Turkish Rocket, and this is a broccoli substitute. These flowers, before they open up, they look like little broccoli heads there, and you can use them. They taste very similar to broccoli. You can also eat the leaves and everything else, but it's mainly used for the broccoli heads itself. So good little edible here, mainly during the spring. Here's one that I don't have labeled right here, and this is called mint root or Chinese artichoke, and the roots on that one are edible. It is not horribly invasive, but it is slowly spreading throughout the garden here. Next up, we have a plant called sea kale, and it's not truly a kale. It's called that because it looks like a kale, and the sea part is because it can handle being by the seashore. So it is a wonderful plant. Actually tastes like asparagus when you cook it. It has a little bit of a bitter flavor to it, so you can eat it raw, but it has the bitter flavor. But if you cook it, that cooks the bitterness out. Next up is Flying Dragon Trifoliate Orange, and that is a hardy citrus. And you can see right there, I actually have some citrus, and it's about twice the size of a 25-cent gumball when it ripens. It's a little bit sour, very seedy, but I use the juice on this for making kombucha, fermented tea, and it is just a wonderful, wonderful plant there. Next up, I have Victoria rhubarb, and I haven't harvested this yet. This is the second year, so I probably could this year, but I'll wait till next year, harvest some then. And then back behind, I have a bush cherry, and I'm not sure if it's Jan or Joel. It's one of the two. And you can see beautiful cherries on there. Next up is lemon balm here, and you can see that is just a beast here. And lemon balm doesn't spread like spearmint does via underground rhizomes, but it does spread via seed. So it will flower here in another month and drop seed, and when it does, they are very, very viable seeds. So if you don't want this growing all over, you'll kind of trim it back before it actually seeds and drop seeds all over, or it's a lot easier to pick out and it doesn't keep coming back like the spearmint does. And then we have garlic chives. And garlic chives, very similar to onion chive or regular chives, onion chives, except the leaves are kind of flat, a little bit waxy, and it has a little bit of a garlic flavor to it. So good in salads and stuff like that. And then we have some volunteer plants here. So I had red Malabar spinach planted last year, and these are all seeds that came up. So there were probably, I don't know, 500 different plants here. You can see there's still some more back in there that I weeded earlier this week. So I left just some of the bigger, better ones on each side, and we'll trellis them back up. And there's a plantain. I actually got stung by a bee earlier this week, and I used some plantain leaf to kind of kill the issues that I had with it, the pain and itching, and plantain is wonderful for that. Let's see, back here we have some valerian, and my valerian always seems to go to flower and fall over, so it's fallen over on everything else. And the noise is coming from my guineas back there. So they are great at tick control, and they are great at making noise. And let's see, then I have Providence lavender. I have several different types of lavender here, and they will send up the beautiful purple flower spikes, and you can use the flower buds in tea and stuff like that. And then I have the French tarragon. The French tarragon is right here. So that is a regular culinary spice. In the back here, and I don't have it labeled, that is St. John's wort, and that is a medicinal plant. So you'll notice I'm doing a lot more medicinals here, and I'm not really selling them in the nursery or advertising them, but I'm getting into the medicinals and learning a lot about them myself. And then in any holes here, I'm going ahead and putting in annuals. So I have the tomato here and the borage there and some nasturtium over here. I love my different edible flowers and stuff like the borage and the nasturtium. And let's see, here is another lavender. This is a pretty one, and it's kind of variegated, has little blonde stripes in it. And then we have the traditional English thyme here. And we will spin on over to the other side here. And a couple other annuals here. That one is a flowering type of sage. Oh, here it is. So that one is called pineapple sage. So we'll see about that. A lot of sages are perennial. I think that one is going to be an annual. And I have a couple peppers, and this one is dill right here. Again, annuals there. This one is Roman chamomile. And again, it is a medicinal, and you can use it in different teas and stuff. And then I have Bargotten sage here, and it is doing quite well. Very, very happy here. And this is a bronze fennel. And here we have and I'm not sure exactly what type, but a very, very happy grapevine here. And again, some more annuals in here. I just put in another Roman chamomile, and I was trying to help out another person at a farmer's market, so I went ahead and picked some of that up. And then we have ARP rosemary that overwintered last year and is doing great. Silver hedge thyme, and that is doing great. By the way, most of these herbs have been growing in here for at least a year, and in some cases 3 or 4 years. And then curled parsley, this is actually a biannual. So I have straight leaf parsley and curled parsley here. And let's see, some other marigolds and annuals in here. This is one of my pollinators, for the Akebia vine here. So I did have a couple flowers this year, but I haven't seen a fruit set. So don't know if anything happened there. Let's see, we have some basil here, and I have some Lebanon verbena and some stevia, and this is one, and this is the other. Off the top of my head and without looking, I'm not sure which is which. Let's see, we have winter savory back here. By the way, this is another type of basil here, and I forget what. Oh, here we go. It's called African blue basil, so it has a wonderful little aroma to it. Love that. And this big beast here, which is just starting to grow, we are in early June, and this is I have it listed as common fennel, and it is not the bulb type, but it's a perennial fennel that comes back year after year, and I just absolutely love it with the anise flavor. And then we have a purple sage in here and a lemon thyme over here. As you can see, everything is just growing great together. Over here, we have 2 bushes that have grown together. I did have them with, 2-3 feet apart, and they're obviously loving it here, but this is called honeyberry. And they have little fruits right here that look kind of like a blueberry, taste kind of like a blueberry, a little bit more sour. And this is the wrap sheet on it. I like this because it actually flowers and fruits long before anything else. And I have a mole in here that whenever I plant something near its hole, it actually comes by and it pushes it up. So I don't know if you can see, but there's a mole hole in here. So I'm going to move it over to the side a little bit and put this back in. So apparently it does not like me planting near its hole. So there we go. This one is called Feverfew. This one has been in here for quite a few years, and it keeps coming back, and unfortunately it's flopping over. I think part of that's because of this bush going crazy, and it grows out into my path here, which makes it difficult for getting around. And there's Murphy. He's got to be in a lot of my videos watching or helping to see what's going on. And this one is horseradish right here, so we grow it out and dig up the roots, and it's been growing for like 7 years. Nice little bushy type thing, didn't spread too much until I harvested. When I went in and I harvested some of the roots, it spread all over the place. This is the wrap sheet for the chi/storehouse bush, which is this tree right here. And you can see right in front of my fingers here, it has lots of fruit. I love this one. It's in the mulberry family. It has fruit that tastes like a cross between watermelon and raspberry. Just a great little plant here. This one is comfrey, and it is Bocking 14 variety. And what that means is that it is not invasive. So the seeds are not viable, and it does not send out runners, although it's been here for 7 or 8 years, and it is spreading quite a bit here. And part of the problem with this type of comfrey is if you try to dig it up and you mess with the roots, any little root that you leave behind, that's where it spreads. So that's also how I propagate it from the nursery. In this particular area here, I just this year added ramps. So you can see the flower stalks up here. And ramps are a perennial leek in this area. They like full sun in the spring and then shade. So these out here are going to get full sun most of the time, but I have some planted underneath of my deciduous plants here. So I'm thinking those will do better. They'll get enough water. There's some more flower heads over there you can see. And hopefully I'll get a good little stand of ramps going in here. And then I have several different types of lavender in here, as well as some rue over here, which is flowering. So it is a culinary herb, and there is the wrap sheet on the rue. Again, another delicious herb here. And these are thyme seedlings that I grew out. And there's a picture of it back there flowering. And along the arches here, I just planted some cucumbers and some other vine plants. Actually, here's one that I planted, and I also have some others planted in here via seed. So those will be coming up soon, hopefully. Here is some oregano. I've had this, let's see, I put this garden in 2015, and the oregano has been in here, in this garden since 2015. It's moved around a few times, and when I've added soil, I've had to dig it up and raise it a little. And this is a tricolor sage next to a nasturtium here with pretty little flowers. And these flowers are edible. So the flowers themselves taste like pepper, and the stalk tastes like horseradish. And then this is a mint. What type of mint is this? This is hummingbird mint. So it overwintered and has a unique flavor to it. And in here you can see a bunch of the onions coming up. These are Egyptian walking onions. So when it gets the flower head on top, it weights it down, touches the ground, and wherever it touches the ground, those little bulbs on top spread. So that's how it's walking. Actually, there's one down there that is touching the ground, and I need to move it because it's getting close to the path there, and I don't really want it growing in my path. Okay, let's go over this way. We have aronia, also known as chokeberry, aronia melon carpa. And here's the wrap sheet on that one. And I love these things, very high in antioxidants. A lot of people use them in smoothies and stuff like that. A video I watched earlier this year said to plant, it's an annual, but put cilantro in underneath of other bushes. So I have a cilantro plant right here and another one right there, and they seem to be doing great because they only get a couple of hours of sun a day, and then the rest of the time it's shade, and they're not bolting, and they are growing great. I also have golden seal, and I forget the name of this, blue cohosh, and wild geranium. So a couple other medicinal plants that I've added in this year. This one back here is Korean bush cherry, and actually there's one right here. So there is a cherry from the Korean bush cherry. Love that one because it's self-fertile. I don't need anything else to pollinate it. And this is a sweet scarlet gumi. So sweet scarlet gumi is Aleagnus multiflora. I will be harvesting this later today. I'll do a separate video on that, but there are just lots and lots and lots and lots of berries in here. So very, very astringent. Absolutely love it. It is not invasive like its cousin, which is the autumn olive. Next up is bee balm here. Love these. So you can pick the flowers off and eat them. They have a good peppery flavor to them. You can add them to salads or whatever. Even the leaves are edible, but mainly I eat the flowers themselves. And you can make teas out of it. So lots of things you can do medicinally with it. This is a fiddlehead fern, which they say only grows in the shade. And I have had it growing here. I get at least a half a day of sunshine out this far, and it's been growing great. So it is one of the ferns that you can eat. You cut the fiddleheads off and you can fry them up and cook them. Make sure you do cook them. Some other medicinals in here. I can't really remember what's what. I'd have to look at the tags here. They just went in the last year. I know this one is catnip. And some annuals here that self-seeded or volunteered. So borage and calendula. Lots of calendula coming in here. And I planted the marigolds. Here's another Akebia plant. Back here, let's see, we already talked about tricolor sage and we talked about Egyptian walking onion. I have horehound here, and I tell you what, you want to send your taste buds crazy, go ahead and have some horehound. It has a flavor like I've never had before, and not necessarily great, but just a very, very interesting flavor. And this is lovage. I think the wrap sheet is on the other side, but it is a celery substitute. It's a perennial, comes back every year, a little bit bitter, but the bitterness goes away when you cook it. It actually has more of a flavor than celery does itself. You can use the seed of it for celery seed. The stalk can replace the celery. Very, very good for cooking soups and stuff like that. And then hidden away, I have some anise hyssop, which would be this plant right here. Has beautiful purple flower. Definitely a beautiful beneficial plant for pollinators and stuff. And we're back to lovage here, so that's the wrap sheet on that. And this is a hardy banana, and I'm in zone 6. They just changed it to zone 7, but we're really zone 6. And this hardy banana comes back every year. The leaves can be used for wrapping different things and making an edible out of it. I have bloody dock there, which is, it says perennial. It's more like a biannual, so it's flowering this year and then it'll die out, but it will drop seeds. And lots of volunteer tomatoes here. So I had a tomato here last year. Apparently some of the tomatoes dropped off, lots of them coming up. Whichever ones are best, I'll go ahead and leave those and get rid of the rest. All along this row here, I have some blueberries, which are looking a little sad. So I don't use fertilizers or anything like that. I do add some manure and stuff. So I'd have to look up and see, but the leaves here, it's either too alkaline or it's missing some fertilizer. I'll have to check that out one of these days. There's another Victoria rhubarb. Let's see, more fiddlehead fern. We already talked about bee balm. I have another grape bush back here, more fennel. And back in the back there, we have some asparagus. So lots going on in this little garden area right here. And I will still be planting some annuals in the open areas that we have. Ooh, there is one other that I want to talk about over here, which I missed. And this is wall rocket. So it's supposed to be a perennial. And last year I had a lot of bug pressure on it. I don't know if it was the bug pressure that caused it not to come back, but I replanted it. So I really hope this comes back. It is an arugula replacement. And arugula bolts when it gets hot. This thrives in the heat, so it does great. It is subject to some pest pressure I found last year, and I think that may be what killed it out on me. So this year I will try to come out and pick the pests off and see if I can get that to last a little bit longer for me. Anyhow, sorry this is such a long video, but there's a lot going on in here. Absolutely love this little oasis here in the center of our farm. And that's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.